merge intervals, one of the problem, which says given an array of intervals where interval I is start and end, merge all the overlapping intervals and return an array of the non-overlapping intervals that cover all the intervals in the input. Makes sense. So one way to do this is to have each of the interval within the proper fashion. What do I mean by proper fashion? We are going to merge these arrays, right? So we need to have these arrays to be sorted upon the quickest ending or quickest starting manner. So let's go ahead and do it. Arrays.sort, and I'm sorting these intervals based upon, let's suppose we have int1, or okay, I'm saying int1 and int2, and within these two intervals I want say return int1 of 0 minus int2 of 0. So have we sorted this, and prior to using these intervals, let's make sure if intervals is equal to not equal to null, and we at least have length or equal to 0. In such case, we throw new illegal argument exception over here. But if that is not case, we have sorted it entirely. Now we will take one starter. We'll say int start, which is 0 initially, and we also wanted to have a new result array because that's what we are going to return it, right? So we'll declare and initialize both at the same time, new int intervals, and we as of now we do not know how many we would be having, so better to go ahead with array list. So I'm saying list of integer, or rather say integer array, where we say it to be a res and have it new array list for this. Obviously we are starting so with 0, and we assume that the first element is already present. So add the first element, which is intervals of 0, and for the rest starting from 1 to the rest of length, and we increment by 1. We check if intervals of 0 is less than, majorly if it is overlapping or not. So how do we check is overlapping or not? We'll check is overlap, and it's a very great way to assign it to a method start, and along with start we provide intervals of I. So if this overlaps, we merge it. If not, we increment the counter. So start plus plus. We merge it. How do we merge it? So we merge it by res.get start, and one which denotes the end time. We'll say maximum of res.get start of end, or intervals of I of 1, only if we have this to overlap. But what is overlap? So let's code is overlap. We have two arrays over here, A and B. We need to say whether this 2 points overlap or not. So to say that two segments overlap or not, We check if a of 0 is greater than b of 1. And mind that res is the starting point. So starting point has res of 1, I'm saying, is less than b of 0. Then it is surely is not overlapping, return false. Else return true. But this is very tightly coupled. We cannot say always. So it is applicable only for this use case. So make it as private. Let's see what do we have next. We can go ahead and check. We need to return an integer 2D array, but we have an array list. So how do we convert that? So we go ahead and say return, and we wanted to have this start to array. I'm not sure whether this will work because we have here primitive methods and we have here, yeah, we have here object of integer array. So to do this, I'll use a new method over here, res, and I'll just use to array, and which will obviously accept integer. Yeah, and for this, I'll create a variable result int of array has list size and space is 2. Now for where item within list, or I can just go ahead and use simple loop. 0 is less than list dot size I plus plus rest of I is equal to list dot get I, and ultimately we return result. Let's run this and check this. Okay, it got submitted for sample test cases. This and it has performed well with the rest of the test cases as well.